guys, welcome back to Feast or Famine with the Youngs.
We are the Youngs.
And we have a very, very special guest today.
We have a +1.
We have a +1. +3, I don't know. Is that a +3?
It's a
+1 to our 2.
Yeah.
Math is hard.
Yeah, when you get invited to a wedding, you get a +1.
Oh,
if
yeah,
you got
I guess
a +3, you'd get 3 guests to come with you. You get to bring an entourage.
Oh, yeah, I guess. Yeah, an entourage.
Okay.
Okay.
A thing.
Anyway, who do we have?
Hi, I'm Maddie Simmons.
Hi, Maddie.
Hi.
We were very, very honored to be able to document her wedding.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're the best. They're the best. 3 months
3 months ago, yeah.
Yeah, very, very newly married.
Very.
How's married life?
It's almost the same.
It's
I've been with
almost
them
the
for
same.
9 years, so
Yeah.
nothing's really changed. But
Yeah. Nothing's changed.
There's just paperwork with it now.
a lot of paperwork.
Yeah.
Yes, a lot of paperwork.
Yeah. Well, today we wanted to talk about and just kind of go through the whole process from your perspective. I feel like there's not enough bridal perspective, I feel like, when it comes to planning the wedding. We only know what we know.
I'm sure there's groups and stuff for brides getting married
Yeah.
for them, but the vendors never actually see that, I don't
Yeah,
think.
so I thought that it would be helpful to have a bride on here recently married to talk about just her whole journey of planning a wedding, especially nowadays, because it's crazy now than it was way back in the day.
Right. And you did have a planner, but was she the whole thing or just day of?
So it started out as the day of, but then I really enjoyed the whole process of it all. So she kind of just was like, you do it all and I'll just basically be your day of coordinator. But I still used her as almost like a sounding board to of all my crazy ideas that I tried to.
You're very, would you say you're type A?
Yes, but I am also
You're also chill though.
Yeah, I'm very in between. I'm organized chaos. Is my
I
life.
feel that
Yeah.
big time.
Yeah. That's definitely how we live our lives too. Yeah.
Yes, I'm very well, I wouldn't say scheduled, but I'm very organized in the sense, but then I do well with chaos. I almost cause the chaos. Yeah, thrive, and then I cause it just to stir up some stuff because it's just more fun.
Yeah, that's funny. For those that follow us on Instagram and stuff, I made a story about Maddie's famous template photo list, and that brought up a lot of questions, a lot of conversation from industry people, because Maddie gave me a photo list that I only asked for a portion of it, but the whole thing blew me away in a really good way. And that's your organization.
Yes.
Pictures and roles and names, and we knew everybody by name. Well, could have known everybody by name. My brain doesn't work that way. I could have read the thing thoroughly and still forgot.
And I'm the same way, which is what caused me to make the thing. And I think I've seen, I took a smorgasbord of different ideas that I had, or that I screenshotted off of TikTok, Pinterest, other creators, things.
Yeah.
And I dwindled it down to what would fit my wedding and what would make the most sense. I was a special ed teacher for 3 years, and I feel like I always put myself into the perspective of others and and also myself of what I would need. And that's where I started to create that thing. I was how is she gonna know? And we had a very large wedding party, abnormally large. I think we had 12 on each side. 12 on each side. And so I was that's a lot of people. I didn't did I put everyone's faces on there?
Yes.
I
think so.
Yes, that was the part that I was holy shit, I love
Because everybody
this.
had a role.
Yes.
Also.
Oh yeah.
Everybody had a role and a name and oh my God, it was so fun.
And the roles were taken with a grain of salt. Everybody knew that those you could participate and do what I asked you to, but it also wasn't if someone didn't do their role,
they were in trouble.
Yeah, nothing would have crumbled.
But
during
if
the
shit
day.
hit the fan, that person is on that task.
Yeah, the only biggest one I think was my cousin Tori, and she was in charge of making sure we had coffee in the morning.
Perfect.
And that was the biggest one. That was you have to do this. Please do this. And she was fine from the beginning. That's why she had the role. But I also wasn't going to put it in there if it didn't fit. If I couldn't come up with something for every single one of my bridesmaids that made sense, and it wasn't in a way that they would take it in an insulting or
something
anything
that they would
that.
normally do anyway.
Yeah, and they all found it funny. And that was the biggest thing. I didn't want anyone to think that my wedding was a burden or anything like that, or how some brides can be kind of I don't know.
So what you're saying is not everybody should do this.
No, take it. No, and especially if you have people who are very sensitive. All of my bridesmaids are very chill.
Yeah.
They definitely know my personality, and they know that I was 100% joking.
Right.
I'd say 98% joking.
Yeah.
2%.
I loved it because it was helpful. First and foremost, you gave me a photo of everybody who was in the wedding party, including the family. So that made the family formals so much easier. I could give it to my second photographer and be like, look for this person. If that, which we didn't even have to do that, but it was just very really helpful.
Smooth, I feel like.
And I think that you had like one bridesmaid on there was like in charge of helping coordinate the family formals, and that was helpful because I don't think your wedding coordinator was already at the venue.
Yeah,
so if I needed someone,
florist too,
if I needed someone, I knew, okay, I can ask this bridesmaid to help me find the right people and things like that.
Yes.
So like you just added so much detail to it, and then I had other people ask me to buy the template from you. And
Didn't
it was
you put
amazing.
it on Etsy?
I think I did. Yes.
I'm gonna put a link in our.
Yeah, we'll put a link.
Thank you.
And I mean, photographers might buy it.
Yeah, literally.
I love that.
Yeah. Have you had people purchase it yet?
I believe so. I'm really bad with Etsy. I'm like in the process of working on some other stuff
Is
right
it
now.
automated?
So I haven't. I think so. Yeah, it's
good.
definitely automated. So like it reoccurs.
So you don't even have
every
to keep up with it.
That's
no, I just
good.
post it and I'm like, okay.
That's what we call passive income.
Yes. I love it. I have so many others I need to
That's
do.
great. But
That's not even the topic we're talking about.
no, that was just a sidebar. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. When you were, I want to kind of deep dive into the main like wedding vendors, things you looked for, concerns, red flags, all that good stuff. So when you were looking for a wedding venue, what specifically like was in the top forefront of your mind?
So kind of going back to my entire personality is I'm very big on like the energy around me. I'm also not someone who like harps on my energy and stuff like that, but I knew when I thought of my wedding, I wanted it to be very like stress-free, not just for me, but for literally everybody who is going to be close to me during that day. And I'd been in like 3 or 4 weddings at the time where I've learned bits and pieces of like things that cause stress.
Yeah.
And as a bride, I knew that like I would get stressed if somebody close to me is stressed or confused throughout the day. So like picking a venue was very, very specific for me, and it wasn't for the like photos necessarily. If I could go back, maybe I'd have 2 weddings, so I could have a more like photographic venue, I guess.
Yeah.
But also like I really stand by the choice I had. But I knew it was going to be June because I was not allowed, but I was highly encouraged not to have our wedding during football season as my husband is a football coach. And so I really wanted September, but that just wasn't in the cards.
It's the beginning of football season.
Yeah, I know. And so it was not in the cards for us. So June is what we landed on. I was a teacher at the time, so I was like, I really wanted it to either be like September or like in the summer so I could be
working.
off. And then I really wanted a place that, again, June in the middle of St. Louis is really hot. And so I knew I wanted it to be inside. And that goes for the church as well. So the only time we had to withhold the heat or like get hot was for the pictures, which
and we
was
had
fine.
a really shady area, so that helped.
It worked out. And we made sure I had a bus that was air conditioned. I even called the morning, or I didn't call. Someone else called the morning of to make sure that the AC was actually working in the bus before it got delivered. Like
that's a good idea.
That has happened.
Because that happens all the time.
Was it last year? There was a company that like 3 of their buses had issues and they wouldn't even send them out.
Yeah.
So they were having to like scramble to find.
That was one of my biggest fears.
Or they would send them out and they're like, there's nothing we can do. You either have the bus with the AC or you don't have a bus.
Yeah, that was one of my biggest fears. And I talked to the company, I believe it was Jed Transportation. They were really, really nice in communicating back and forth with me. And they were like basically talking me off the ledge because I was like, well, what if? What if? And they're like, we promise we have a big enough fleet that if this happens, like then
we have a backup.
I think they're one of the ones that had like 3 of their buses go down, but they have so many.
Yeah, it was really,
which
really
is
nice. And I think they even had one. I was supposed to have one with like a bar on it. I didn't care. I was like either one. I was not particular, but they sent one with the bathroom. It wasn't like a big bar. It was supposed to be one so we could like put the coolers and stuff behind it more so. But they sent one with a bathroom. I don't know if anybody used the bathroom.
Yeah.
Isn't there a rule just don't use the bathroom?
I don't know.
Risky business.
Yeah, that really is. I didn't use it. I don't know if anybody even did, but it was nice.
That's awesome. Yeah. So mainly, like, was there any type of thing, like aesthetic wise, that was like, I care, or were you like, I really just like want it to be good enough, or like, what was that like for you?
So we had a very large wedding as well. Like we invited a lot of people, like upwards of 500-600 people were invited. And so,
do you remember what your ultimate guest count ended up being?
It was, I believe, right right around like 515.
Really?
It did not feel that way.
It did not feel like that
at all.
It felt like an average 250, 300.
So we put a lot of
Would you say that?
Yeah, like where was the wedding we did recently? Like it was before hers. That was that same
Shay.
number. Yeah.
That one was like about the same.
Yours.
It was after hers, yeah.
We put like a lot of the things that normally are supposed to be inside the like hall, like outside into the cocktail hour area, because I was so nervous about it feeling like way
like
too
the bars
cramped.
were out there.
Yeah. And then the head table like cleared up a lot of space. The way we did the head table is more like a feast table, I would say.
Yeah.
And then because we had the band and the DJ, so like I spent like days going over that. Like we had my iPad on the TV with my dad, like we were like moving around things just because I wanted to make sure it was like very breathable, like people weren't like overly whelmed or like, you know, crowded in.
So I think that's a good thing to think about, because we have been at weddings where, and I think most venues, like when they tell you a number that they can accommodate, I think it's important to ask the question how that looks.
Yeah.
Because we've had weddings where they are at capacity and it is a nightmare. But then your wedding, I did not think there were that many people there.
Yeah. And I think I don't know if you guys have ever been to the hotel that we were at, but
no, that was our first time.
It was like a hidden gem. I feel like my sister-in-law, the only reason why I know about it is because she had her wedding there, and she had a very large wedding, and it was either there or I don't remember the other name of a hotel in St. Louis that has like a huge ballroom like that. But I know I toured. Yeah, there is a handful. But I toured a few of those, and like going back to the whole like what I wanted it to look like. The reason why I landed on that was because it was on its own private floor. You had to take like an elevator up to it.
Okay.
And like there was a huge cocktail hour area. Also, this is so weird, but the carpets.
Yeah.
I can't stand when they have like crazy colored in their carpets and patterns. And I walked into some of these very, very nice, prestigious, known hotels, and their ballrooms had the craziest carpets. And I was like, what is this?
Yeah. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I've seen a lot of planners that have change some of those spaces and they look insane, and they didn't cover the carpet, they just moved your eye to not focus on it. But I still have no idea why that is a thing.
And I really wanted to do something where like I didn't have to put like we didn't have to put in that much like time and effort. I knew there could. At one point I was like, oh, let's get a different dance floor, let's do this or that to make a different hotel work. And I was like, in the grand scheme of things, like it was also the location of it was perfect for I wanted like pictures and stuff to be done. It was very close to the church, which that's another thing when I planned is I tell all of my friends now is before you like sign on a dotted line anywhere, make sure you have like your known guest like a you know just a mock-up of your guest count of your guest list,
like the
or whatever.
must-haves.
The most people that you'd have and the least amount of people you'd have, so you kind of know like the ballroom. I had like an A list, B list, and a C list for my guests.
Oh, that's good.
And then the other one was go through where you're like where you want to have the actual wedding at, where you want the reception at, where you're getting ready at. That is a very, very large one that all of my friends never think about.
Yeah.
Because if they're not doing a hotel wedding and they're not staying in a hotel, like where are you going to get ready?
Right.
And then like I was in one wedding and one, like the logistics of it just don't make sense. So really sit down and think about like, well, if I'm not renting a bus for my wedding party and we're like 30 minutes away from the actual reception or the wedding, like what does that look like?
How are people getting there?
Yeah, and like think about it all. And granted, some brides are like, well, this is just what I want, and they can figure it out, and that's totally fine. I'm just somebody who's like, if people around me are panicking or like stressed or confused or don't know what's going on, they're ultimately going to ask me those questions, and I don't want to be asked those questions.
Yeah, especially on your wedding day.
Exactly.
You shouldn't be asked those questions.
I did not get like any questions. There's a few things that in hindsight it's always 2020, but overall, like I was the most stress-free day of my life. Like
that's
truthfully.
amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
It's great.
And you know, you mentioned that you feel like the ballroom wasn't like photographable. I actually don't agree with that. I think that it was very photographable. The chandeliers are beautiful in that room, and the way that they did the lighting, I think, was really pretty with the uplights. The colored uplights were great. And then, I mean, it's kind of like a blank slate.
I was going to say that, like, retract. I was thinking more of, like, the stereotypical ones that we see now, like, the all-white venues where they're, like, outside and stuff like that. Like, it's not your typical what's going on right now in the wedding, like, aesthetic. But no, it pulled together beautifully. Like, the chandeliers are insane. I was so shocked
so pretty.
that so many more people, like, don't know about it. And then also the uplighting was one that I worked back and forth with the people because I didn't want it to pull too much pink, but I also wanted it to be like a moody because I'm a very big light person and like, you know, like your energy kind of goes off of the lighting around you and stuff like that. And so I was really, really pleasantly surprised with all of that when I got there. So
that's awesome.
It looked beautiful. It really did.
Was there, how many venues did you actually tour before you made the decision?
I think 6. I think I toured 6 pretty quickly. But yeah, I think
all like hotel ballrooms?
Yes, because I didn't, another logistic part of it is I knew my family, some were traveling, some were coming from like Illinois area, and a hotel is just the easiest. It's the most logical. I really wish St. Louis had some sort of like estates, like an estate place that had multiple like spots maybe one day.
On one whole property.
Like where they, at least where some guests can stay the night if they want to. Like the options available for them, because I would have 100% did that if that was available. But again, like with people drinking the open bar, I didn't want them to have to worry about figuring out where to go or like having to do any of that. So even like with childcare, the children that were allowed at our wedding were ones that were like in the wedding or like traveling in or whatever. They were able to have I had like little babysitters, my sisters in high school. And so we had babysitters lined up. They would meet with one specific was my cousin. And then they just went and sat upstairs in their hotel room and watched the kids during the wedding reception, which worked so nicely. And the parents felt comfortable because they were in the same area.
Same place. We talked about that with Maureen about
we did talk
doing
about that.
Kids at weddings is always like a hot button issue. And the best way to navigate that is to have
like a setter,
someone designated to be childcare.
I didn't even know you had that.
It was just like my sisters in high school has a whole bunch of friends. We reached out to a few of them. They're like, yeah, sure, we'd love to. And like we offered them if they wanted to come in and get a plate of dinner, we can arrange for that. But most of them were like, no, it's fine. And they just went and sat up in the room for a little bit. Parents would go in and check on them. And it was fine. Like I know one kid came down, they brought him down in his little stroller like after the lights came on and everything, and he was still awake, so they just brought him down to see all the cousins and aunts and stuff.
That's nice.
It was great. It worked out perfectly. But again, it wasn't like a hard no. It was like we would you know, here's the idea, or this is what the option is if you have to bring them.
So shifting gears a little bit, we could have probably started with this, but I feel like it's gonna kind of go through the whole process of what we're talking about. But did you guys have like an initial budget that you were like, this is kind of like where we want to align everything with like all of our expenses, or was it kind of like just go like as you book a vendor and like,
and you don't have to give the budget,
you don't
like
have to.
More like how you allotted, did you say, hey, this is what we want to spend on the full wedding and this much we want to go toward this and this and
we did more so of like a hierarchy of what we thought was the most important.
Priorities.
So like photographers and videographers were like number 1, and then like the florist, planner, she was a 2-for-1, so that was nice. But and then we kind of just broke it down from there, and then kind of like push and pulled elsewhere. I'm also we did a lot of, I have very big ideas. Some of them I decided to nix and not do at the wedding. But I have a rule that if I can make anything myself, like for under the price that it would cost for me to get it made by something, now it could be like a penny cheaper and I'd still make it myself. And so I was able to shave off a lot of money by doing that, or like offering my services to like make the thing and then having someone else just, you know, do that.
You made your invites, didn't you?
Yeah, I made like all the stationery that was there.
Which
seating
was
charts,
fantastic. How did you make that?
The invites were made, I believe, on Canva or Adobe Illustrator. I kind of like flipped back and forth.
Okay, so you like fully customized them. It wasn't like you made them on Minted. Like you made them.
Yes, because I wanted a very specific brown.
I know. I remember you telling me about that.
And that was just nowhere to be found. Like I could not, and now we're seeing it like everywhere. But the wedding, even bridesmaids dresses that I did in that like satin brown, like
so pretty.
I was seconds away from sending out a message to the bridesmaids saying that we were just going to do black. And then I was like, I'm just going to look like one more time. And I even think I I either got an email or somehow I like stumbled upon it, and they were like just dropped colors, and like one of them was a satin brown, and I immediately ordered a swatch. Yeah. Always order a swatch of bridesmaids dresses, just so everybody knows.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, and then
did
spray
you
water
carry
on them.
that swatch with you to like color match stuff?
Oh,
I did
like
that
was
too.
in my binder, and it was with me everywhere. I think when I came to you guys, I had it in my little binder.
Did you say spray water on it?
Yeah, put water on it, seltzers on it, spray everything on it, because
see how it absorbs and stuff.
Now there was still stains, like, because it is satin material, but the color was dark enough to where it wasn't like overly observed, like you couldn't definitely tell for the actual wedding. Now as the night went on and like things got definitely spilled on people and stuff like that, like you could tell that there was like water stains, but it wasn't as bad as some of the other dresses that I've been in, where it was like would not come down. Like there was one I was walking down the aisle and the bouquet like had water on the bottom, and my whole stomach was just soaked,
wet.
and you could just definitely like there was no getting rid of that.
Oh dang. Yeah. That's a good tip.
Yeah.
Wow.
Definitely do
Florists
that.
should always have towels with their bouquets, and I think most of the ones we work with do. But
so did you book your venue first?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, and then what was the next vendor that you booked?
Actually, simultaneously, I booked the like church that we had it at, our priest, and the venue. I was in like a constant communication with all of them to figure out a date, because again, I was like very, very flexible with the dates. Yeah. As long as it was a date that didn't interfere with Jesse's schedule.
Yeah.
Football season.
Yeah, football season. And then anytime in like basically the summer months. But yeah, I worked with them three because I knew the church that I wanted it to be at. Yeah. And then once we settled upon a date where all three of those people were available is when I started to like reach out and do other things. But I would reach out to vendors and say, these are the 2 dates that I'm looking at, because I remember the 2 that we originally had that worked for like some of them. And I was waiting to hear back. And so I was like, I'm just going to message them and say, these 2 are the 2 dates. And then if they weren't available or vice versa, then I would just figure it out. But those 3, the priest, the church and the venue were the first 3 that I booked.
And then when did you book your coordinator?
She was like my sister-in-law, again, kind of laid the roadmap for me, but she was like a family friend that you did Haley's wedding. Okay. So they just reached out to her and she was like, yeah, of course. And so we met with her, and I was like, oh, me and her are very similar. So I was like, oh, this works nicely. And then I like kind of just started to do everything, and she was like, well, I guess I'll just take a back seat. And I was like, okay, works for me. I loved it. So
when you were thinking about hiring a planner, and again, like your perspective is slightly different because I had already told you that you should be a wedding planner. But like, what was like things that stood out to you that you're like, this is important to me for my wedding planner to be able to do?
Her flexibility with time. Like I have random ideas that pop in my head, and her just like the ability to respond in a reasonable hour.
Yeah,
like
fast communication.
Time. Yeah. And then
not also like, hey, I'm texting you at midnight, I need you to respond immediately.
Yeah, no. Not that.
Which you wouldn't do that, but like,
no. But like at least not waiting like a whole week or something to like respond back to something simple. And also being able to, like, she did really well. And again, she wasn't like the whole planner behind everything, but like I would come to her and just need an opinion that wasn't one of my family's, because that's another thing brides run into.
Outside perspective.
Yeah. All my friends are talking about how it just gets very muddy with family members whenever you're planning a wedding.
Everybody has an opinion.
Yeah, everybody does. And so it was really, really helpful just to have her like as somebody I could just share opinions with. Again, she didn't like say like, that's a bad idea or that's ugly, but she was just there to be like, okay, like tell me more, whatever.
Yeah.
Or offer like alternatives if there are things to think about.
Because I feel like, you know, with like family members or friends, they're obviously important people to you. So there's going to be emotional ties to certain things, even though it's like your wedding day. It's still important for them too.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And then another one was her also like ability, or her like that she knows other people in the industry. So that way, like, and again, I think this is with all the vendors that I reached out with. She was somebody that was kind of handed to me, and like, you know, my mother-in-law was like, this person would be really good. I was like, okay, if you're, like, I really like, I trust their opinion. So I was like, okay, then like, I know she'll be great. And she was phenomenal. But overall, I think knowing that they're like in an industry and able to like work with other people, if something were to come up and her not have been able to be there, or like X, Y, or Z, just knowing that it's not somebody that was just pulled from like, oh, they are kind of good at planning, you know. So
would you have still hired a planner had it not been a family friend?
I Probably just because I learned so much and I was so apprehensive about the whole planning thing. I was very nervous of like what I needed to do. Right. Yeah. She laid out like she had like forms for me and be like, you need to do this. Then also you can
like
Google
checklists.
Yeah, you can Google a lot of things, but she was very specific on like if you have like this amount of people, you probably need to mail this out by this time and like X, Y, and Z. But overall, it probably would have been more, I really wish there's like a role, and I am in the works of doing something, I think, of nudging into the planning industry.
Yeah.
But like a role that's almost like not a full planner, but, and not just like a 6-week out day of coordinator, but almost someone who could just be like a manager. I don't know, someone that can be there to be like the sounding board, to also give ideas, because she gave me some really good ideas and tips to save money or whatever it may have been.
Yeah.
But just someone who like isn't taking away the design process of it all, but just is like adding to it in a sense.
So like an advisor.
Yeah.
Like a coordinator plus consultant.
Yeah, wedding consultant.
Yeah. Because that really, really helped. And it, again, relieved so much from the things that I had to go through with my family. Like I could be like, well, you know, we already talked about it and this is just what's happening.
Yeah.
Like that, you know, she agrees, she's the professional.
That way you're not the one that says, hey, I want to do it this way. It's more the professional we hired
is recommending
says to do it this way.
Yeah,
so we should do it this way.
I got out of so many things that way. It was very, very nice.
Yeah.
But no, I think I would definitely go back and hire one again. And the day of, I don't know what I would have done. Like there were some crazy things that happened the day of my wedding that I had no idea about, which, I mean, I don't know. I don't really care. Like, I'm glad I didn't know about it, but like, I do not know what would have happened if I didn't have somebody. And it really, truly can't be a family member that's invited. Like, I now understand that fully because, like, what you think the mother of the bride is going to go handle some guy that just passed out in the lot? You know, like, that's not really something that you want to put on anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm really, really happy with my decision to at least have, she was both, but like a day of coordinator, I think everybody needs one.
Yeah.
I can't even think of anything from our perspective that was anything catastrophic like that.
I mean, we didn't really know of anything.
Right. So
but someone apparently like came into the, what's it called? The before I walk in. Cocktail hour. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Sorry.
The cocktail hour and was not a part of our wedding party at all.
Wow.
But then went
Wedding
down to
crasher.
We've seen that before.
But then they passed out and an ambulance had to come and everyone thought he was a part of the wedding.
Oh,
and he was, and like Chrissy was running around trying to figure out, like was asking, showing pictures.
Like, who is this person?
Yeah. And they're like, we have no idea. And
was he drinking at cocktail hour?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And they're like, we have no idea. He wasn't even a guest, I don't think. Like the wedding, we don't know how he.
See, we've done hotel weddings where like we'll look over and we'll see like people get off the elevator that are clearly just staying at the hotel.
Yeah.
And they look around and then they leave.
We've had this was last year. We were doing a wedding and it was like reception.
Oh, it was this year. It was early this year.
It was during cocktail hour and these kids, they were probably like 15. They came down and they were in their pajamas and clearly they were staying at the hotel and they came into cocktail hour and like were dancing in cocktail hour with their pajamas on and we're like, guys, you can't be in here.
Yeah.
Like,
you need someone to be the bad guy.
Like if you want a soda, like just get in and go. Like just go.
Get in here.
Yeah, literally.
But yeah, that's good to have someone that's like designated to like put out those quote unquote fires that you don't need to worry about and your family doesn't need to worry about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like there was so many small things.
Yeah. Now she also did the flowers, right?
Yeah.
Did that make you nervous in any way?
I would say like a little bit, but also again, she did the same thing for my sister-in-law and
So
her
you
flowers
knew,
are
like-
absolutely gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I knew that like going into it. Also like flowers for me, I love them. They're very beautiful. I've never done them myself, so take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt. But like, I really feel like it's hard to like truly mess up flowers, especially with the one, like the design I was going for was kind of just like elegant, simple. Like I wanted like a little bit of pops of like kind of neutral colors, but I didn't want anything like over the top or too trendy too, because even though it's beautiful, like these flowers that I'm seeing now, I'm like, oh my goodness, I really should have done those. But also like, I'm very happy that I stuck with like a very like not traditional, but like something that's like, you know, you can't go wrong.
You wanted something to
Timeless.
elevate the space, but not like make it a focal point.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Whereas there are like we've had several that are very tediously set up and
Yeah.
and
they
like,
are part of the
So for
focal
you,
point.
like florals were important, but like they weren't like a huge factor, which for some brides, like they're like, I want a huge floral design. Like so it wasn't like one of those things.
There's like, I really think if I didn't have that many people, I would have been like, let's go out with the flowers. But I think we had 40 something tables. So in retrospect, I was like, I'm not going to ask for like a crazy, again, I'm like, my like anxiety or stressor is I'm like not people pleaser, but I get anxious when, I don't know. I just feel like I'm like causing other people like stress or like or anything, like inconveniencing them, let's say. Yeah. And so it's like it's bad, but also good in some instances because I put myself in other people's shoes and I can really be like, okay, is that too much to ask for? Because I knew that she wasn't like a full-time. She was also planning my event, so I was like, I don't want to sit there and ask for like these like huge, crazy, very detailed like bouquets and things like that. And it all worked out very smoothly. So she did an amazing job. She has a great like support system that helps her and other people in the industry that helps. So it was great.
And then going into like the entertainment part, like, did you guys know right away that you wanted, I know Jesse's like a musician, so I kind of already know where this is going to go.
Grain of salt, but no, so one backstory on Jesse, I don't even know if this is 100% accurate, but I know that we met in high school, like my senior year, his junior year. But prior to that, I would say his like freshman or sophomore year, someone dared him to learn a song on the guitar. Like it was like some random song. He's going to be mad at me for not knowing what song it was. But, and so then he picked it up, could play it by ear. And like, it's just been an ongoing thing since then. He's always known how to kind of play the piano by ear or whatever. So he's like, I would say he's just someone who's musically inclined,
Okay,
like he's not like
but never really dug in it too far.
Yeah, no. Like he's very talented and he's played at his cousin's wedding, like the piano. That was a very small, intimate wedding. But so I was kind of like, I booked all the vendors. I kind of did everything. We had like a small talking of like, if you want a band, because he wanted a band, but I said, I already booked the DJ at that point. Yeah. And I was like, if you want one, it has to make sense. Like I'm not going to just have like a band and a DJ and then having to go through all of that. And I was like, you have to come to me with logical points and make sure it made sense. And he did. He found a band that like had more than just the stereotypical music and stuff like that. And then the surprise that we all did is he played Jesse's Girl on guitar for me.
Because he's Jesse.
Yeah, because his name is Jesse. And so it was really cute. I didn't think he was actually going to. I like did happen to read an email that like kind of insinuated that he might.
Does he know that?
Yeah, he knows that. He knows that now.
Does he know that now?
Yes, he knows that. But again, we had some hiccups go on right before the wedding with the band, so I really thought Jesse was not going to do that at all. So it kind of like left my mind. But no, I think it was really fun having a band and a DJ. I don't necessarily think it's like 100% necessary. Yeah. I still would have, like, if I have to choose a band or a DJ, I would like choose a DJ. Okay. But that's just because you never really know what you're going to get with a band. Yeah. And it is kind of, to me, like when you're playing music, you could play music from the artist or you could play music that like other people are trying to recreate. And it's great both ways, but like it is a little riskier trying to play some if you never went and heard the people in person before, which we had not, which I would not recommend doing also. They were great. Our band was very good.
So if you had the opportunity to hear the band play before you booked them, you would have done that.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think it's just very, I don't know, to me it was always risky. Like doing a band is risky. I don't know why. A lot of people do it nowadays.
Did you feel that way all the way up until like even walking into reception?
Yes. Really? Just because you never know. And like, again, we had a little bit of a hiccup with the band manager beforehand, but it was all semi-smoothed out. I think you guys know about that. But like, you just don't really know. Like with the DJ, you can be like, okay, I want these songs, I don't want these songs. But with the band, they're like,
kind of,
it's like their art in a sense. And they kind of take more like, they're going up there and being very vulnerable themselves. I mean, I know almost like the DJ is as well, but like, they kind different. They're very defensive over like what they want or what they like,
and
don't
they have
really
like a
want.
Style
and stuff like that. Yeah. So I was very thrown off when like, we crossed it all. And then they're like, well, no, like, if you don't want that song, sorry, Charlie. I think I was told to go to the bathroom if they played the song. So
see, I don't like that. Like, one of the best things we did when we got married, which we made a lot of mistakes, but one of the best things we did was had a band and a DJ, I think. But it wasn't like we hired a very specific DJ and like the band was very specific, but then we picked a DJ that was able to play.
Well, you didn't really have anything that you specifically cared too much about other than the music because you're a musician. True. So that's why we did that.
But we also had heard the band many times.
Multiple
See,
times. Yeah.
And again, the band played great.
Yeah,
it was just the little interactions beforehand, and it wasn't with everyone in the band. So like, I don't want to like trash the band at all. They did amazing, and they let Jessie play Jessie's Girl, which I don't know if a lot of bands would let them do that, you know. But it was just kind of things like that, because we chose that band because of their set list was so diverse, and they had so many different choices, and the fact that I think at one point I even tallied up all the different songs they had, and it was like over 100 different songs that they could play, which was not like any of the bands that like the traditional wedding only bands.
So for like brides that, if they're listening to this, obviously this is probably their first time doing this. They didn't give you like a list of songs.
No, it was on their website, which I really liked.
But they weren't like, hey, choose these songs.
No, that was just like, this is our set. These are the songs that we're able to play
in the set list.
So were you saying that they didn't let you like pick like don't play songs?
So this could also be my fault, is I gave them a do not play list, thinking because they had so many songs, I didn't think it would be that big of a deal, like truthfully. And we did want it to be a perfect mix of like DJ and band. And so I sent that list, and that's when I got the retaliation back from it. And again, I really knew my guests, and I knew what songs would be like, you know, enjoyed that aren't traditional wedding songs. And that's something that I really had to advocate for, is I feel like a lot of wedding vendors and professionals, not all of them, but a lot of them are kind of stuck in that box with music that's like, oh, we're going to play the like traditional wedding songs that you hear, and they haven't really branched out past that. I think that's why we're also seeing a lot of bands too, because the DJs always fall back onto the normal like list. And it was one that I really had to advocate for us to be like, no, we do not want those types of songs played. Like,
because you are the one who knows your guests better than the vendor that you're hiring.
Even though you know
what's going to be, you know what's going to be perceived well, and you know what's going to get people on the dance floor. I feel like one of those things that people will put on their do not playlist is like the cha-cha slide. But I know
group band songs.
I know that like DJs hold that as like a crutch though, because they're like, well, this will get people on the dance floor, but who's going to know the guest better? Like, is it going to be you, or is it going to be the person hiring
and
you?
A good DJ can play the right songs without playing those songs to get people on the dance floor.
Yes, and our DJ was amazing at that. Like he sat down with us. Jesse, again, semi-musician, and has very specific taste. I knew all of the guests wanted to hear Jesse's taste of music. I mean, I'm talking like Van Halen. Like he wanted to hear all of those, which is again something very difficult.
You don't typically get those at weddings.
Yeah, exactly. Our DJ was more than willing. He was even making like mashups for us. Like he was like great. Awesome. But I think like when you want something different, make sure you voice it, not just one time too. And I think that's where well, one, like as a special ed teacher before, like I had to do a lot of advocating for not just like myself, but the needs of others. And I felt like I really had to do that in some instances as planning a wedding. And if you're not able to do that, that's again where I would choose having like a planner or a coordinator or advisor, if we want to call it, to be able to do those. Because some of the things that I was told on that phone call with the band DJ, Jesse and I, my jaw was on the floor that it was being said. Again, he probably felt like he was being attacked from my do not playlist. So I don't want to say like feelings are valid everywhere. But I was like, Jesse was speechless. He had nothing to, he was like, I was scared to talk. And you know, someone who's had multiple things said back at them, like I was ready. I was also not ready for that to be said, but I like was ready to like advocate for us and not just like let it go, because over my dead body would I let some of those songs be played that he was trying to play. And he did end up like we negotiated, and I made like a absolute do not play list. But when I tell you I have no idea what songs are played at the wedding besides Jesse's Girl, like I really don't know. So I'm like, I know everyone was, but everyone was on the dance floor, I would say majority of the night. So it went by so fast. So I'm like, how big of a deal is it? But also,
I mean, and there are bands, there's plenty of bands that have, like, they let you know, like, if there's something you specifically don't want me to play, let's have a conversation about it.
And I feel
if
like
there's something you specifically want to hear and we don't play it, we can talk about if we are able to learn it or not.
Yeah, and I feel like the communication aspect for all vendors is, like, that's, like, one of the most important things. Like, just knowing that you can be open and communicative with all the vendors.
It's on our end, on the vendor side of it, we see, like, stuff like this all the time where problems arise, but once you dig into it, it always comes down to a communication issue. And I think on the flip side with you guys and clients, it's the same exact thing, that communication can fix just about any issue you might have.
Everything. Yeah. And I think that's another with how my wedding day was like literally the easiest day of my life, like so smooth, is I think a lot of people nowadays, even like my friends that I'm now helping with their weddings, I tell them, I'm like, everyone feels guilty starting these group chats and being like annoyed in the group chats. I get it. I'm an active participant in some of these group chats, some people just put it on do not disturb, whatever.
Yeah.
But you would rather at least send the information and oversend information again and again and again until you know that they like have understood everything than to not say anything at all, or to say it like one time very like nonchalantly or in passing. Do something to where like everybody knows what's going on. Call people and like hash it out with them and being like, hey, this is just like the day of, and this is what it's going to look like. If one of those friends don't read group chats, like I had 2 of them that I had to call and be like, hey guys, just so you know, this is what's going on. You need to hear this. And they really appreciated it in the long run. Like I wasn't digging at them for not knowing the group chat.
Just know they're not going to pay attention to them.
Exactly. Just know your people and like really over communicate, because I literally over communicated everything, and I made little like graphs and charts for absolutely everything. Even my wedding like bridesmaids dresses, they all got to choose one, but I had like a Canvas slide with interactive links so they could like choose what dress and like click on.
Oh my gosh, Maddie. I didn't even know that. That's amazing.
I made like a thing for everything.
Oh my God. I love that. Okay. So let's jump into photo and video. Okay. And obviously like we did your photo and video, but I want you to be like completely honest and just like open about your whole process when trying to find photo video.
You can say we're the best ever. So
they are. You guys are the best ever. I'm very, very happy with my choices to have you guys. But yeah, photo and video were like my number one. Like that was something that I was like, I'm not bending on at all. I wanted to really find somebody or people that were able to kind of hit the style that I was looking for. And again, I'm like traditional, but also like I wanted that new, like, I don't know what you guys call your style, but it's perfect.
Know. Timeless, but trendy. Yeah.
I wouldn't even call it trendy. I don't even know.
It's timeless. It's first and foremost, it's just timeless. But we also keep up with
the trends,
being trendy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
No, you really do though.
Because we do the teasers that are like, high energy.
Like we have like our style, but
and
like we also
the
know
story-driven like actual full film.
So anyway, it's not about us. Anyway, so we just actually talked about something, and I'm curious to know what your thoughts are. Was photo like more important or video more important, or like were they both equally as important to you?
Like when it came down to budget, you would pay the same amount for photo as you did video?
Yes.
Okay.
I would 100%. I think like a lot of the people that I know who didn't get the video look back and they're like, I really wish I would have, especially after seeing other people's videos. Like I just watched mine. I told them before this, but I was only able to watch it 2 times because I cry and I don't like crying. So I was like, I can't keep watching it. But it really does, like the day goes by so fast, and like the photos, excellent job of capturing the things that like have already faded from my memory. But like the video, like nothing really speaks to like, going back into that actual moment and reliving it and seeing it unfold. Yeah.
100%.
And especially the way you put it together. Absolutely unreal. Like I can like, it's just crazy how well you guys do with the video. Yeah. But like it really did capture every emotion. You put the best highlights in there. Like it was the best.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why I chose yes. But going back to like the whole like process of me choosing somebody, I would say the things that I looked for the most is like, again, I feel like every new bride nowadays starts with social media. Like
So when you were like, okay, I need to find photo video, you immediately went to Instagram?
I went to Instagram and I did just a lot of like STL photographer, like hashtags. Hashtags were the way to go. Yeah. I searched hashtags.
What were like the top 3 that you searched?
Hashtags are not dead, even though that Instagram and TikTok and everybody says that we're not focusing on them. They still work.
Yeah.
They work so well. I've told all of my friends too to like just search through hashtags, because it does weed out some of the other like whenever you just search without the hashtag, you kind of get like the same thing over and over on the
What
feed.
were some of the ones that you would search?
I think just like STL photographer, St. Louis, like wedding. I did a lot. Actually, what I would do is I'd find like planners that like would tag photographer or like have a hashtag that was similar to that, and I would go through their pages and find photos that I liked,
because you can find different
people's on planner sites. So I would go through there and I would find like photos that I would like, and then you guys were like consistently coming up. And so that's what I like wrote down, like 4 people that were consistently coming up, but you guys came up in like majority of them. And so again, going back to like what I said previously about like knowing people in the community, I was like, right there, you guys already know like a plethora of people, because I found you on multiple different like planners and coordinator sites, as well as like some like cake places. Like I found you guys like everywhere. But overall, I think, searching the hashtags, and then also websites. It's kind of like a weird thing. I do a lot of weird research to make sure that people are like authentic, I guess. I don't know. But the website was a big one. Like I was like shocked by some of the photographers who like had a large following that I would just look into, but wouldn't have like their website was like,
there's a disconnect.
Yeah, there was just something that wasn't the same.
Oh my God.
We literally just talked about
this conversation so
We literally
much.
just talked about this.
This is like validating everything for me. I love this.
And I feel like you guys might have just made changes to your website. I don't know if you did.
We're constantly
but like,
updating
recently
it.
or like then?
Recently, because when I went on to get my like photos and stuff, I was like, dang, this is nice. Like it just looked like it was just nice.
We changed like the photos and stuff. We haven't really changed like the layout
structure,
and stuff much.
Maybe it's just because I got a new branch now that I get the photos and stuff. Like before, I just like searched the website, and then now I get other things. But you guys do a great job at like all of that.
So like website for photographers was like important to you. What was something that?
But you saw their social media first.
So
and then you click and you're like, that doesn't match what I'm saying.
What was like? What was something that you saw that was like a disconnect that was like made you kind of turned off from it?
I don't know why, but when the first thing that pops up is like a form of some sort to fill out, like the only way to get
like
access is like isn't to inquire. Like that, like the only way to get any information was to inquire.
Yuck.
That happened like 3 times, I want to say. And I don't know if it was like just maybe. I don't remember who they were. It was like 2 years ago.
Do you mean like pricing? Like there was no pricing on the website at all?
Yeah, it was just basically like.
Oh, okay. So
you just you click on their link, and then
their link probably sent you directly to their contact form instead of their homepage. Does ours? We have 2. I think.
Well, we have multiple.
We have one that goes to the main page and then one that says just like inquire.
But I think you can choose yours. Like I think I could choose. Their like main link for everything just took right to, and it looked like it was their website. So now that you say that, it could have been just their inquiry form. But just going in there because I was like, well, I just wanted to see like. I want to
see stuff.
Yeah, I just wanted to see like what other things they had on there. Like I know most people don't have like explicit pricing listed on there, but I was like, I just wanted to see around and see like if they put time in. Yeah, like just to see what's up.
And a lot of times you can get a little sense of like the experience you're gonna get too.
Yeah. Exactly, and I'm not someone who's all for the aesthetics of stuff, but I'm like, it has to be like cohesive in a sense of like a personality point of view. Like I could really tell your guys' personality just by your like social media and how like connected everything was.
Did it match?
Yes.
Okay.
And everything matched very well. Yeah. And so, and that's another big thing is because you would go on to some of them, or like maybe they just haven't updated it, but like, they have one aesthetic on here and then the other one is like a website that's way, way, way old and that they just needed to update, Yeah. And again, I don't know how difficult it is to update a website, but
it's not.
Okay.
Well,
it's not.
To an extent.
In 2023, it's not.
Yeah.
But that was a big thing. And then another one, which was kind of odd that I told my friend about recently, and she was kind of like, oh, I never thought about that. So was I actually looked at people, like what photos you were tagged in. I know not a lot of people are private anymore, but I looked to see like what brides, if they were unprivate, like actually tagged you guys in photos so I could see like the ones that like
they were
curated.
posting.
Yeah, that they were posting.
Yeah.
Which was very odd, but I was like shocked at how much information I found from that.
That's
because you could
awesome.
tell immediately like if you were only a photographer that did like those staged events, or if you were actually out there like doing weddings and stuff like that, which you guys I think did like fit both, which was great.
So when you were like scheduling to meet with wedding photographers, did you like, what did it look like from your side of things? Did you like want pricing first, or did you want to meet with them first? Like what was like a priority for you?
I really wanted to at least have like a phone conversation first, or at least have the like availability to do that.
Yeah.
I would say, I think it was 5 people that I like looked into, and only
that was
2
gonna
of
be my next
them,
question.
2 of them like offered, like you guys offered meeting in person, and the other one was like not travel, but she was like in and out of the Midwest.
Yeah.
So she was like, I can do like a Zoom
at
or
least
something.
like have a conversation with you first.
Yes. And I feel like that is really important too. Like now that I'm like kind of looking into the industry a little bit more, I'm like getting to know the people is very, very important because you're trusting them with a lot of things, but also like they should also want to meet you, because what if, you know, like it's not like the best match, you know, like they should be able to tell as well. So like don't immediately extend just because it's like money. And I feel like you guys definitely made that clear. Like you wanted to get to know us rather than like,
I mean, you're going to spend time with us all day and we're spending time with you all day.
Like that, we preach that all the time. Like obviously like our clients have to like us, but like we also have to like you. Like we have to want to serve you the right way, you know, like not saying that we don't want to serve like we just want to make sure that our personalities connect.
We want what's best for the people coming to us to do their wedding, and if we don't think we can offer,
we're going to offer someone who can do it.
We're not going to do it. We're going to direct you to somebody who can, because it's just our personalities just kind of clash, or something is off.
Exactly.
Because we're not necessarily like we're not even necessarily we're not in it for just the paycheck.
And we're only doing 20-ish weddings a year now, so those 20 weddings, I want to be 20 weddings that
we want to enjoy our time.
We want to have a good time too, and be able to know that we're giving 100% to it. But if there's some sort of like disconnect or clashing of personalities or something in the air that we sense up front that just wouldn't allow us to do our job fully, we don't want to do that to them, because it's their wedding.
Exactly. And that's how Jesse and I felt too. And like I said, we've been together for a very long time, but neither of us are very like, I feel like most, maybe not, but like a lot of high school sweethearts that I've known, at least, their PDA, like we had to keep it to like a very low amount because we were together as kids. So like we never really did all that like hand holding things. So like you guys did a really good job at bringing us out of our like shell and making us feel comfortable. And that you offered the engagement shoot was very, very nice. We did have a photographer like at the proposal, and so Jesse thought he could get away without doing an engagement shoot. So when you guys were like, no, we're gonna do one.
We don't say it's required, but we always push for it because of that.
I could not imagine not doing that. Like it really did make us feel so much more comfortable, made him feel so much more comfortable. Like it was just great because we already like had an established like relationship with you guys, and I felt like we got all the like little nervousness out like a year in advance at that point. But
I'm just sad the dogs didn't come to the wedding.
I know. Well, you guys are gonna be sad. You know the big Great Dane?
Yeah.
She had to be put down because she had cancer.
She was my favorite.
I know. We're all so sad about it.
She tried to wrestle me on the backyard.
I know, we love her. I know. Poor Grace.
Oh
my goodness.
I know she got cancer like right before the wedding, and they just put her down like I would think like a month ago or two.
Oh my gosh, so sad.
I know.
Great Danes don't live very long to begin with.
No. We thought she was gonna beat the expectations. I think she was 6, maybe. So that was a pretty long.
She lived a good life for Great Danes.
Yeah, she lived pretty long, but it was just out of the blue. She got cancer, but
that is sad.
I know.
So, what? How many meetings did you have?
Only
just the 2?
2, yeah.
Okay. How many did you inquire with though?
5, I would say. Like altogether, I inquired about 5. We did like email conversations.
Was it 5 photographers and videographers, or were they all offering both?
So I think you guys were the only ones that did both, like to you two together. The other people, this was a unfortunate event, but somebody like I reached out to a videographer, and for some reason their like email came to my junk mail, and so I never saw that response, that initial like response. I was waiting for it. I don't know why I didn't think to check my junk mail, but I felt really bad after. I was like, oh shoot, I found that in there. I was like, shoot, months went by. But I only reached out to, like, it was you guys, and then the rest were all photographers, and then one other of the videographers that went. But I kind of knew, like, regardless, I was like, I really was hoping you guys were available because I loved the video. Again, like I make little like videos of family things just because they're funny. So like all the previous vacations we've gone on, I've made little like highlight reels. And I really, really liked your guys' highlight reels or teasers or whatever. And so I was like, well, I was kind of set on you guys for the video for sure. But and I didn't really like, I don't know, maybe looking back now, I'm thinking about it, like I don't remember seeing that many like videographers that like from St. Louis, like easy to find. Like it wasn't like I couldn't search like STL videographer, but it would show up like it wasn't a wedding one. You know, like so now that I'm kind of thinking about that, and maybe it was back in 2020.
STL videographers, get your hashtags better.
Wow.
Because I don't think I remember, like that was a hard one to try to find like a specific wedding videographer.
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is
That's
interesting.
good. That's a good note for any videographer listening.
Yeah. The other videographer I reached out to was somebody that like I've known, like I knew previously, and so that's the only reason I didn't find them online.
Yeah.
So when you were inquiring with photographers, videographers, what were the things that like impressed you?
Again, the tagged photos. I don't know why. That's something that
I really... like from like couples and stuff?
Yeah, like actual couples, like like tagging you guys and things. And again, I know that it kind of stinks. Some people are private, so like you can't, take it with a grain of salt. But like I found like a handful of them, so like that was really nice. Also the I think just the cohesiveness of everything. Like I'm not like your social media per se, but like again, just everything
like the vibe
everything carried over. Like I could really tell your true personalities. Even after we met you that one day, I was like, you guys are exactly how I would think you were, even from like the way you respond to emails, like things like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think overall, I really was looking for somebody who could capture the day and the feelings, not just like the photos, not just like random photos. And
was there anything, you kind of already mentioned one of them, but any like that you were like already in the process of communication, you have acquired, you've gotten pricing, were there any like red flags that made you like back off from them?
Yeah, when they wouldn't offer for like a phone call or anything, like they immediately were like, you have to sign a contract or you have to like put money down or a deposit. First, that was weird for me.
Before they talked to you?
Before, like I had to save the date. Like essentially, like I had to like,
interesting.
Yeah, I had to make sure I had to put money down in order to have the date, which never made sense to me. But,
interesting.
That was with one person. And then the other one was, they didn't have like again, going back to like the website didn't match, and the inquiry form like would immediately send. And I just didn't know, like, I'm like, do I have to wait to hear back? Like, there wasn't any, like, explanation to things.
What you do next.
Yeah. And also something that I found helpful, I don't know if you guys did this, but maybe it was just it was possibly a different vendor, but they had their, like, availabilities or, like, the dates that you could possibly book, like, on the site. So, like, I wasn't wasting time going and being like, oh, are you available? And they're like, no, because that happened a lot.
Yeah,
a lot.
That wasn't nice.
So you did inquire with other people that just weren't available.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think only like 2, but I think that was a part of the 5 initially.
Okay.
So I did not like when I reached out to somebody, I knew that like.
Yeah. I wonder what the average is. Like for how many
vendors,
like photographers and videographers a bride reaches out to.
I mean, I think it varies because I know that we used to get emails that looked like they were templated more or less just to get pricing information. And I bet those went to a dozen or more.
Yeah. I will say I made a template of an email. I mean, like, hey, for like makeup artists and stuff. Again, I had a huge wedding party. And so I like really had to find like a place that had that many staff or whatever to come and do it.
I guess I just don't know if I feel like 5 is a lot.
It's not.
I feel like it's not.
My like 2 friends that I'm helping with their weddings and stuff, like they would just go ahead and reach out to like a handful of people that looked like they checked their boxes.
Yeah.
But I was somebody who was very tedious on that. Like
it makes sense for you to connect outside of just what you're getting.
Yes, and I wanted to make sure it made sense for the whole realm of everything that I wanted. I didn't just need like a videographer and photographer. Like some people just want that, and that's fine. My friend's that way. She just was like, I just need someone there to capture the day. Like I'm not really that crazy on like what it looks like, I'm like, okay, she just wants somebody there.
Just make sure
I was
not
not that person.
Stuff.
Yeah. Like I'm very particular even with like, and again, everybody likes their own thing, but I wanted very clean, like not heavy filtered or like anything like that. Just because again, I think it goes back to like traditional, like when my grandkids look at this, I want them to be able to like be like, okay, it wasn't like heavily filtered or whatever. And that's something that you guys did. But yeah, I think that overall I like was very specific on like my needs, and I also had them all like listed out, and so I knew like if it didn't check, I would just go to the next person. So like before I even inquired. Nowadays though, I know that it's getting harder and harder to find people to do things, and so like my one friend's just like in the wind, inquiries like going out left and right.
I find it very interesting that videographers in St. Louis are hard to find on social media.
Yeah, that's
interesting to me because I mean, obviously, we're in the industry, so I see them. But
yeah, when I was just sitting here, I was like, I don't remember like easily finding anybody. But again, it was like 2022, I think, like very beginning of like January 2022. Okay. So I don't know if that makes a difference at all, or like algorithms and stuff have changed. But I remember like I found so many photographers, but like, and maybe because again, I did go to event planners like sites, and I would click on them, and maybe just they didn't use a lot of videos, and like they didn't tag a lot of videographers.
I mean, I feel like I think we do post a lot more video content than most videographers. And that might be part of it.
Maybe.
But I think that's a plus, because it makes your personalities stand out like a lot more, and it shows us like what you guys are actually capable of doing.
Yeah.
And like I know, and like videography is also like a sense of like photography, so like it's like a twofer when you post one, you know.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
So what are some of like the things that you would not change about the overall wedding process? And that you would recommend to like any bride?
I would recommend really thinking through like the entire day before booking any venues. Transportation, I'm very, very happy that I like thought through all of that.
Yeah.
I mean, I even thought down to like the rehearsal dinner, like who's going where, when, why. Like I would think through like all of those things, like my grandma, like how is she getting to point A to point B, because she was going to be at our place getting ready, and really thinking through the things that like seem like they're not like that you could figure them out last minute, but trust me, like you can't figure them out last minute. I was up one night with just transportation, like mapping of everything until like 1 or 2 a.m. just trying to figure it out. And then it came to me, like, I was like, why did this not come to me 7.5 hours ago? But it was a very easy change and everything worked out. But like things like that, I'm very, very happy I like thought through all of that. I mean, the bridesmaids, I would never change how many bridesmaids I had. I think that people who don't want any, great. I didn't see a flaw in having that many. You guys might have, because you had to take pictures of them.
But you didn't have to like overthink like
I feel like that is
to fill the numbers.
No,
I feel like that is a
super
good
easy decision.
Yeah, I feel like that comes down to like personal preference. I feel like, but I have heard conversations where it's like I don't want to have too many because it could get complicated. But you didn't see any issues.
No. Again, though, I chose my people based off of them being my people. So like I knew they would not be. There was not one controversy at all. But I know that a lot of girls are very different. I keep my circle like very, very tight. Granted, like 12 bridesmaids, and you're like, what? That's a tight circle. But but I do think that like I pick people. I don't have like a one friend group that all hangs out all the time. Like I have people from each friend group that I'm like very close with, because we gel well together, and like I know that they could trust me, vice versa. So no.
And then, do you have any like regrets or things? Not regrets necessarily, but things that you
might do differently. Or
that you would do
instead.
differently.
Well, for transportation, I didn't tell my grandma explicitly the times of leaving and stuff. And the bridesmaids and everyone like ended up, she somehow convinced my transportation driver to leave our Airbnb early. So like I didn't get to see all of them after like photos and videos, which was not a part of the PDF, which I sent out a PDF prior to of like literally everything that could go on the day of. It had interactive links, it had the mapping, it had phone numbers, it had everything. And so I would say see PDF to everybody who asked me a question. Like that was just, see PDF. If it's not on there, come back. No one ever came back to me with questions. But I should have, in that instance, was the one time I didn't say see PDF when someone came up and asked me when we were taking photos upstairs. Like, hey, can they leave? And I had no recollection of the time at all, which was a good thing, but in a bad thing. And so I didn't get like that moment to like hang out with my bridesmaids like I wish I would have. That was like one of the biggest things. And then I also did a very last minute-ish dress change. Like I decided last minute to do a dress change. I was kind of on 50-50.
Did you like it?
I loved it. I think I understand why people do it now. I still stand on the fact of like I found this outfit and I loved it so much. It was going to be a rehearsal dinner, but I was like, this is just such a fun outfit and very much me. It was like a jumpsuit, sequins, like corset, like looked very much like something I would wear. And so that's why I made the decision. I didn't make the decision because like
it's a trendy thing to do.
Like I felt like I needed to. I do wish that the timeline, it was supposed to be that I walked in the jumpsuit at the exact time of Jesse's girl, and so that was supposed to be more of a thing. I regret that of not being more, but that was out of my hands. So like same with the grandma thing, out of my hands. Like at the end of the day,
I remember that because we were
it was hard to coordinate with the bands.
We were trying to coordinate, and we're like, we are done so we need to do this song.
And I knew they were doing that to me. I just felt it in my soul. I was like, you guys are really doing that. But anyways, lesson learned from that. And then the other one was seeing everybody like walk in. I really wish I would have been able to see it. We decided to do like a t-shirt throw and like a bomb of people. And like I was so excited for it, and I didn't realize until I was like standing out there, I was like, we can't even see it.
Yeah.
And so that was something I'm like, well, I don't know how it would have happened, but like I wish I would have, or us been like immediately following.
But that's another reason why I have a videographer, because guess what?
Yes.
We have it.
Yes, you do. So that was nice. But yeah, and then lastly, I think just overall, this was another one, is more photos of the actual like of us with people, and it wasn't even suggested to me until like 3 days before the wedding, and I was not about to like
you mean like
bombard you guys,
like from the photographer,
from like anybody, like honestly, but like I even missed, we had a photo booth, I somehow missed, I did not get one photo in the photo booth.
Oh gosh.
I somehow, which is fine, like
the photo booth is usually a good place for that.
Yeah. And so that's where I was going. I was like, let's go to the photo booth, and I walked over and it was closed again. I had everyone's like, don't worry about what time it is. Kind of know what time it is, everybody. Like everyone said, don't worry about it. I really took that to heart, and I was like, I had no idea what time it was at all times in the night. You were just
having a good time.
I was having a great time, but I didn't realize that like everything was shutting down, like it was like wrapping up. I didn't realize truly how quickly the day goes. Like it goes so fast.
Yeah.
And then I walked over and they were taking down. I was like, what time is it? Like truly. But someone
goes back to like having kind of like that advocate, like, hey, make sure you check out your photo booth.
Yes. Make sure you go over there and do that. And then really attaching yourself to your significant other. It's very hard to do. We were able to do it, I would say 50% of the time, but like people really do grab them and like take them away. Like I did not believe people when they said that.
That happens all the time.
All the time. Like I would look up, I'm like, where's Jesse? Or I'm like, how did I get stuck in this conversation? Where is he? Like vice versa. So really, I don't have an answer on how to master that, but someone needs to figure that out, because that was hard. Overall, just like really random things, nothing huge. Like there was not a big hiccup at all during the day. I mean, it was literally the easiest day of my life. It was the most stress-free. It was the best day. I tell everyone I want to get divorced so I can get married again.
So you get married again?
Yes, that's what I want. So,
oh my gosh.
Maybe one day, 5 years.
Same time next year?
Yeah. I want to throw a party every year.
Yeah. That'd be so fun. Well, this has been great. I think that you have given like a lot of good information.
Yeah. There's definitely some stuff that I hadn't even
I know.
thought about.
I know. Good. That's great. Thank you so much, Maddie.
I loved it.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, guys. Well, that's all that we have. I hope you guys enjoyed. Maddie is like so awesome, and I feel like we're probably going to see her somewhere with a website maybe soon. Hopefully.
So,
I'm like advocating for it.
Yes, it's in the works. So
I'll
new wedding planner coming.
Yeah, awesome.
I want to.
Okay, guys, that's pretty much all that we have for this one, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Any last thoughts? No.
We need Apple reviews.
Oh, okay. Please leave us a review on Apple if you like our podcast. Right?
If you don't, go away.
Oh my God. Okay.
Don't need your negativity.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.